already started doing some speaking and in fact just had some lucky opportunities to be on some actually pretty big stages before getting involved with Leader. And like all these things, don't really remember how I got exposed to Leader, but when I saw this whole idea that you guys had a process for helping get onto a TEDx, I went, that would be the next feather in the cap. Because at the time I came to you guys, I had been fortunate enough that I had a chance to speak at the London Stock Exchange, at Nasdaq, Oxford University, Beverly Hills Chambers of Commerce. But I looked at that TED logo and went, that's the next one, because that's also one that kind of also brings a wider audience. And so I looked at that and went, you know what, that would be the next thing to do. And then when I saw you had process for helping with the applications and building the talk and all those other and promoting it and all those other pieces, I went, yep, this is what I need, because if I have to figure this out, it'll take me years. For me, in the early stages, there were some challenges, and I'm going to commend you guys on being able to adjust for me, because I was finding it very difficult in some of the early coaching to sit through kind of the 4 hour Zooms. The other part is I think I was a bit of a challenge from the standpoint that while I had some really high profile speaking engagements, I hadn't done a lot of speaking. So I wasn't a new speaker, but I wasn't a seasoned speaker as well. So I sort of didn't fit the mold of your programs. But you guys, came up with a way to adjust, to help me out, to work through it. Because the other issue is I suffer from ADHD, and so like 4 hour Zooms just like kill me. They just destroy me. So I also commend that you guys were willing to work with that and make some accommodations to really help take me through the coaching and get out at the other end. When I had the first conversation with the folks at TEDx, they were like, hey, we loved your enthusiasm, we like your background, we think you could do a great speech, but we don't like the topic, you need to change the topic. So here we've done all this work creating a topic, and by the way, it's also not going to be 18 minutes. We want it to fit into 10 to 12 at the most. So I ended up completely, because the topic I had, I tried and tried it, as you know, because you worked with me on it. We went through so many variations to try to pigeonhole it into 10 minutes, and it wouldn't work. So it was then part of the interesting journey was a complete revamp. And in fact, in the end, I think it actually ended up being better. But we had to do a complete revamp of it to fit it in their format, and make it work. And the interesting thing is and I wasn't even sure where I was going to be able to leverage it. I know it creates prestige and things along that lines. But once it was created, I suddenly realized I could build a 1 hour workshop out of it, because it was shortly after that I had a speaking engagement where they wanted to do a workshop, and they said, well, could you come workshop something for an hour? And I went, you know what? I could take this talk and I could make it a 1 hour workshop. I could do this. So I've delivered that once. I'm delivering it again tomorrow as a 1 hour workshop. And I'm now going to be I've created a half day one that I haven't rolled out yet, but I'm going to put a price tag on, and a full day. So basically that's really how I'm going to be leveraging it, because then I can point to somebody to the talk and say, hey, we can take this talk and we can do this with it, where at the end of it, you guys are going to walk out with your own version of your story. Look up TED and TEDx and look up the average number of views that they get. And I think there's this assumption that as soon as you're on that platform, you're immediately going to get all these views. Most TEDx's don't break 10,000. There's only something like 4% of them break 10,000 views. So this whole idea of I'm going to get a talk, I'm going to do the talk, and it's going to get all this attention is not, I don't believe happens. Yes, you've got to get the talk. Yes, you've got to deliver a great talk. and you guys, the coaching you provide on that in terms of the energy level and the flow and everything you've got to take it through is great. And be able to do it and do it well, you've got to be really rehearsed and practiced. But then you do have to promote it. There is work that you've got to put into it to get it. And yes, there's a stage where it starts to take on a life of its own. But you've got to give it a push out the door. And if you're not prepared to do the promotional work, it's a lot of work just to end up having something you roll out that gets a couple hundred views. You've got to really look at it as being, there's the getting the talk, there's the delivering the talk, and then there's the promoting and leveraging of the talk. And I think it's really hard to proudly leverage something that has 250 views. Like, oh, go see my TEDx talk on this thing, it's got 250 views. It's a lot easier when you're able to say to somebody, hey, it's got almost 10,000 likes. It's just like you deliver that with a little more, and people are then also a lot more, oh, wow, 10,000 likes, that's amazing, right? Oh, I'm gonna go, they're now interested in also seeing it.